Hello, good people of YouTube. SealordMountbatten back here again for the second installment in the construction of the Tamiya 1350 Prince of Wales Battleship Model Kit. But before we get going into that, I just want to address a couple of common comments on that first video, which did much better than I ever thought it was going to do. Thank you guys for that. But there's quite a few of one or two comments that I want to address right away before we get going in today's video. And by far, the most frequently commented thing on that video was, why aren't you using primer on your Prince of Wales? Well, the answer to that is very simple. I've never had to use primer on any of my other models. I have, well, right now, 5 models on display right now in my office with, well, they're either Tamiya or one's Trumptier. They're all Tamiya. They're all plastic model ship kits. They've all been painted using Testor's paint, using pretty much the same methods that you guys have seen me use on Prince of Wales, meaning that there's no primer involved. Primer is mostly used on model ship kits if they're going to be doing one of two things. One, being handled a whole lot. Two, being outside a whole lot. Like if I was going to stick an electric motor and an RC kit in this Prince of Wales, I 100% would have primed the surface before I painted it. But we're not doing that with this Prince of Wales, nor any of these models. All these models are going to sit on a shelf in this office, or if I move, another office for pretty much the rest of their existence. They're not going to be outside. And as far as I'm concerned, no man, woman, or child is going to touch them very much. I might take them down every now and then to clean them and to show them to visitors and such, but I'm not going to, pass them around to a bunch of children. They're way too expensive and way too detailed. I put too much time and effort into them to have somebody drop them and completely ruin them. On that same note, quite a few comments said that if I didn't use primer on these kits or on the Prince of Wales, the ship was going to get scratched very easily. I beg to differ, because as much as I like to prevent these ships from being dropped or getting knocked over or such, we have one right here that has gone through such a fate. So I'm going to show you guys what its paint condition is right now. So behold, my Tamiya 1350 USS New Jersey. This is a 4-year-old kit. I was a very young lad when I assembled this ship way back in the day. As you can tell, that definitely shows some of the paints that kind of, not perfect, not in line perfectly, but again, this is the 4-year-old ship. This is the second 1350 model I put together, so I was still fairly new to the whole model making scene when I got this ship. Well, at least the 1350. I made a couple of 1700 models before, but they, you don't want to see what those look like. Not that I have them to show you guys anyway. But anyway, this model sits atop the bookshelf that is behind me right now that you guys will see later on in this video. And the thing is, this bookshelf for a very long time would get hit by my door to my office. And I would obviously attempt to stop that from happening. Anytime I would go in, I'd very gently open the door. Anytime anyone that lives in this building with me would get in the would come in my room, I made them aware, like, hey, look, open the door pretty slow, because if you don't, you're gonna hit my bookcase, and this model's sitting on top of there, because I didn't have anywhere else to put it at the time, and I still don't know. I actually don't know where that one's gonna go. I guess I may clear off a shelf in my bookshelf or something like that for that one to go there. But yeah, I don't know exactly where that one's gonna go. But yeah, room is sparse in this office. But anyway, but unfortunately, some guests and stuff, they would come over. They really wouldn't know that you need to open the door to my office / bedroom pretty slowly, and they would unfortunately swing the door open. Not like, like they're kicking it down or anything, but just open it up like you would a normal door and let it go, and it would tap the bookshelf. But it wouldn't knock it over every time. But because of this base is very, as you can see, very, very wobbly, and this model, you can see me just doing it like that, it'll start to scooch, because it's, it's the New Jersey. It's a big ship. It's a long ship, so after being hit a couple of times, the model would eventually work its way over to the edge of this stand right here and fall this side over onto the top of my bookshelf, which is kind of aggravating because a couple of these 5-inch turrets, they went missing for some time period. I've recovered all of them. The radar mast has come off multiple times and I've had to glue it back on. Thankfully, it's never broken, but this side got its fair amount of licks, taking the full brunt of this ship falling over, especially down here. So, as you can see, I haven't repainted this at all. It's fine. Like, it's perfectly fine. It's... Oops. I have to make it fall over again. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. I did. I actually made it fall over again. And you know what? Bet the other side's fine. Let's take a look at that. I totally did not mean to do that. Yeah, I could glue these down, but then I couldn't rotate them anymore. So I just leave them on here pretty... I think this one's glued. Yeah, this one is glued because I think the... It fell so hard once the nub that this one's supposed to connect to snapped off. So let's go ahead, rotate her around. Long ship. Yeah, all those 5-inch guns, yeah, there they are. And yeah, it's dusty, but yeah, it's not even scuffed. When you put multiple layers of paint on, and this right here, that's just I think that's just where the paint kind of pulled at. Because again, I was like pretty young and pretty novice when I did this one. But yeah, it's fine. They took the whole... I don't want to tip it over too far because then the other 5-inch turrets are going to come off. But yeah, see, it's fine. And again, like, that's happened to this model multiple times. I probably do need to get an actual proper stand and not the Tamiya stand. That's why I made that comment about, oh yeah, the trademark Tamiya stand when I opened up the kit for the Prince of Wales. But yeah, it's fine. It'll be fine. So let me put this one back and we'll talk about the other one back there. All right, so back onto the Prince of Wales. Again, people saying that this is going to scratch easily because it hasn't been primed. I mean, my fingernails has not been trimmed. Look how ugly they are. Yeah, it's fine. When you put 3 coats of paint on something, it's not going to peel off easily. And I don't know if people know this. I assume they would because I showed them the bottle. This is enamel paint. It's not acrylic. It's not, what's the other one, lacquer. It's enamel, so it's pretty tough stuff once it dries. It does take quite some time for it to dry, just because it's an oil-based paint and because of the consistency of it. It takes a hot minute to dry. It takes about 2 days to fully dry and cure. But when it does, it's pretty tough. And again, yeah, if this was a ship that was going to be going outside or going to be handled a lot, say like if I was, I don't know, going to use it in my classroom, which I never do because it's not coming back in one piece at that point. Yeah, I would prime it. I'd probably even put a top coat or some type of clear coat on it too to protect the paint, but it's not. It's just going to sit on my shelf, not really be touched by anybody, and that's the extent of what it's going to do for the rest of its life. All right, with that out of the way, Prince of Wales, what have I done on her since we've last met? Well, probably can't tell from this angle, but I've started to put the next coats on the deck. They're attached. You can tell here pretty easily. Side on the right has had another coat applied onto it. Side on the left has not. Back here, this is all pretty much done except for a couple places like here and a couple more places back here that need another layer. But that's what I've been working on just for about an hour or so today. So I'm going to go ahead, finish up coating the left half of the mid deck and the rest of the bow and getting these places at the stern. And then we're going to go ahead and I think we're putting the turrets together and on next, and then starting to work on the superstructure. Oh, also too, people mentioned airbrushing or spray painting the red, the fouling paint. That was my original intent. However, the airbrush that I ordered didn't come in time, and it's not here still. It'd be right there if it was, because I'd be showing it off to you guys. I mean, everything's backed up, postal service wise, and just any stores backed up in general too. But it's supposed to come in like 3 days ago, but it hasn't. But no worries. When it gets here, it'll get here, and I am going to use it to apply the camouflage onto the ship, because screw painting that by hand. The deck, I was thinking even too when I was painting, it probably would have been easier if I had the airbrush. You just spray this whole thing, the tan, and come back with gray, and then repaint all these little doodads all over the deck, like the cleats and the I guess these boxes are supposed to be either service boxes or storage boxes or hatches and such. And good lord, whoever designed this ship for the Royal Navy must have loved adding in tons of these, because this is by far the most deck detail I've seen on any of these Tamiya kits. And I'm not sure if it's just a Tamiya thing, they decided to include more in this kit, or if it's a Royal Navy thing, they just had a bunch of these on the King George V class. I don't know, but they've been really annoying to paint around. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and finish up painting the deck, and that's what you guys are going to watch me do here for the next couple of minutes, and then probably won't record myself doing the whole thing, because it'll be like 2 hours of recording, but then we'll go ahead and work on the superstructure after that. Alright, as you guys can see, we have gone ahead and repainted most of the deck. Came out much better this go around. We let this dry. There's one or two other spots that I just want to touch up on once this final coat dries, and then that'll be it for painting the deck. Came out much better than I thought it was, especially at the end of the first video. As you can tell, a couple of places are still pretty wet and need a little bit of touch up, but that's no big deal. I'll handle that off camera. Not going to bore you guys with that. Now, we go ahead and we're going to assemble the turrets and attach the turrets. We won't be fully attaching any of the superstructure turrets or anything, because like I said a little while ago, I am going to be airbrushing the camouflage pattern onto the ship once that airbrush comes in, but we'll be putting them on, just giving you guys an idea of what it's going to look like once it's all put together, depending upon how fast that airbrush gets here. But anyway, let's go ahead and get going on that. Alright guys, actually a couple days since I started filming the next section of this video, but we have gotten the turrets on, the 14-inch quadruple turrets. They came out pretty nice. You saw I had a couple of issues in there with getting the turret sights in, but no worries, it came out all nice and fancy dancy. You can, of course, remove the turret. There's some residue from that glue drying. The turrets aren't stuck in place. You can stick them in place, but I was looking at getting a bit of an upgrade to these turrets. There are some nice aftermarket ones you can get on eBay. Some guys on there 3D print some more detailed turrets with some more intricate barrels and such. So I was thinking about doing that, and plus I still do have to paint these on the side and on the barrels as well, so I don't want to permanently fix them in place just yet. The twin turret came out, the twin guns came out well as well. I mean, I could leave these on and it looked just fine, but those turrets that I found online looked a lot better. If you can tell by the deck looks 1,000 times better after getting that second coat of paint on it. Well, like fourth coat of paint on it. Yeah, it looks a lot better now. But something interesting has happened, and well, I can turn the mount around. Oops. It's arrived. After being about a week overdue, the spray brush or airbrush has arrived fully, with mount and wand included. So today we're going to use this bad boy. Oh, that's all right. Except they're kind of expensive. I'd hate for you to get busted. We're going to start to use this on something simple first off, and that is, well, half of the life raft. So this is the bottom half of the life rafts. All these have to be painted flat white, which wouldn't be simple, but the paint thinner that I have is also white. So hopefully I can get the mixture right and these come out just fine. It's going to be a bit hard to tell with, well, white on white, and if I have too much thinner in there. But it should be alright. I mean, it's not a lot to paint, so we hopefully won't burn through too much paint, because that's all I have for now. But I think it'll be more than enough. I don't think it'll take much more than, well, not even a fourth of this bottle with the thinner combined. But I'm going to use the little bit of thinner that I have left in here and mix that in with this in a separate, already used and cleaned out container, and then dump that all into the reservoir in the airbrush and get airbrushing away. And you guys get to see what these life rafts look like. This is, I think, the engine cowling and landing gear for one of the planes that they include right back there that sunk the Prince of Wales, but we aren't going to be putting those together because I don't know what to do with them. I mean, I guess I could put them next to the Prince of Wales, but I think we might save those for later. But no worries if this gets painted white. I'll just strip it, and if I feel like putting the planes together later, oh, whoops, there that goes. That's okay. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and get that ready to go, and I'll meet you guys in the painting room. Alright, so we got our painting table set up. We've got the paint mix. Now the thing is, when you are airbrushing, you do have to wear a mask. However, since I bought the air compressor, most of the nice air masks or well, painting masks are a little bit out of my price range, and plus since COVID and all, there is kind of shortages of good masks, but no worries, we've got that covered. So let's go ahead and get starting on our paint job with our life rafts. All right. Alright, so for the past couple of hours, I've been working on putting in all of these little details on the deck.
and these cleats too. So it's been a hot minute since I've actually recorded anything, because all this is just me cutting it out of the trees, you know, like the little spools and stuff for the rope or wires or whatever this is supposed to be, and installing it on the deck, and not the most exciting or interesting thing to look at. So that's what I've been doing. But now we are about to paint the base for the rail system for the catapult aircraft, then install that right here ish, and then we're actually after that going to actually start working on the superstructure, which is very weird. Most Tamiya kits, you work on the superstructure first, and then once you get that done, you then go in and put in all these little details along the deck and stuff. This is the first one I've seen where you actually finish pretty much the entire deck, then go to work on the superstructure. So that's interesting. I was going to airbrush this, but these rails have to stay gray, and I don't think I could mask it up in such a way where those rails would stay fully gray. But it should be all right with hand brushing. It's not a lot of space, and we'll go ahead and get that done right now. Alright, the first coat's on. I'm gonna go ahead and let that cure, just let it chill in place. You can see there's a couple of places I gotta get closer to the rails. That's fine. We're gonna let that first coat dry and cure. That's the downside of the Testors paint though. When you apply it with brush, it takes quite some time for it to dry and cure to where it's really ready to go for that second coat. So that's probably going to have to chill there just for about a day or so, but that's fine. We got plenty of time. Now we're finally going to start putting some superstructure together. There we have it, our first bit of superstructure installed. Now obviously it's not completely done. I have to make quite a few launches and some vents and some life rafts and such, but we're going to call that here for today. A lot of progress has been made. It doesn't look like a whole lot, I know, but there's so many small details and such that I've worked on that, again, I haven't been recording just because like these cleats. There's so many sets of these cleats up and down the ship that I've installed, and these I forgot what these are called. What are those called? Bundles for the wires and such. Again, here, that's going to spend the rest of the day drying. I'll put the next coat on tomorrow, and we'll be good to go there. I'll be able to glue that down. And yeah, just again, all those mounts back there, the base for all those AA mounts, those have been installed quite recently too. So yeah, and all these life rafts here. That is, I'm not sure how well you can, whoops, how well you can see that down there. The bottom half of them, that's the white rafts that we airbrushed. They came out very nice and even. I know you can't really see, whoops, you can't really see them all that well because they are, of course, dang, this thing's very, very finicky. You can't see them all that well because they are, of course, underneath the gray ones, but it came out very well, and I was very happy with the results of that airbrushing session. So that gives me good hopes for when it comes time to airbrush the entirety of this bad boy. So guys, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe. We're on our way to 30,000 subs. Let me know if you wanted me to keep updating you guys with the Prince of Wales. Of course, I'm just going to be working on it, but it does take quite some time to film, edit, and upload these videos. Some of the more time-consuming ones that I have to make, of course. But again, let me guys know if you want to keep seeing it, because I'll gladly keep doing it. Hope you guys are having a great Sunday. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.